All-you-can-eat buffet workers, what are your horror stories? Not a horror story, just funny. I worked at Wendy's when they had salad bars. You could get a single serving bowl. They used to serve eat in chili in styrofoam bowls, and the large doubled as a chili bowl, or all-you-can-eat platters. The taco salad bottom plate. On a slow afternoon, this guy came in and got a single serving bowl. After a few minutes, our manager motioned to me and the sandwich guy to discreetly take a look at the salad he was making. The guy had filled the bowl with salad, then made a ring of overlapping cucumber slices to extend the lip of the bowl upwards. He filled that with salad, then added another ring. It took several minutes to build this thing, but by the time he'd finished, he had a tower of salad well over a foot tall, WTH multiple rings of cucumber slices containing it. That salad was an engineering marvel. He carefully carried it back to his table, sat down, then looked up guiltily as our manager walked out to him. The manager handed him a free item coupon, and said, "That is the most impressive salad I have ever seen. Your next one is on me." Picked up some fish and chips recently. Saw they had all you can eat on Wednesdays. So I asked what is the most that someone. 18 pieces of fish and 3 plates. She held up this huge platter of fries every single Wednesday. So he eats that exact order every week. Yes, and he goes to a different all-you-can-eat every day of the week. He got banned from the Chinese place down the road. College friend worked at a Chinese buffet. He said they caught a regular dipping his pizza in the wonton soup bowl, like, in the queue and not at his table, and eating it. Bite, dip, bite, dip, bite, dip. After the 4th time in a month he did it, management finally kicked him out. At one point I worked for a pizza place that used to have a day buffet that I would make pizzas for. One time 2 huge dudes come in the moment we opened for the buffet. The manager on duty dropped the first 2 pizzas down on the buffet, turned to grab the next 2, turned back and both pizzas were gone. A few minutes later both dudes walk back up and each take an entire pizza again and walk back to continue eating. They proceeded to do this over and over, grabbing an entire pizza each for themselves for the entire 3 hours we were offering the buffet. Was one hell of a day. Edit, with all the replies, haha, big as in morbidly obese and Pizza Hut 2011 with regular dough, not thin, medium pizzas, 12 inches / roughly 30 centimeters diameter, sized pizzas. I had a coworker that briefly managed a Ryan's buffet. He said that it was fairly common for people to gorge themselves, then purge in the restroom and start eating again so that they could get their money's worth. I worked at a Ruby Tuesday in Center City, Philly, 1st floor of the Liberty Place building. I had a couple that would come in about twice a week that requested me. They would gorge themselves at the salad bar for about an hour, ask for large glasses of water with no ice, then both would take the water into the bathroom. They would come out a few minutes later with empty glasses, ask for the check and leave. I finally put it together that they were bulimic after I walked in the women's bathroom and it smelled like vomit. Very polite folks and tipped well though. There was a fairly expensive restaurant in Dallas in the 80s called Southern Kitchen. About $25 per person back then with food served to the table. Really good stuff. They were famous for cinnamon rolls. The owner said he'd seen many women ruin expensive purses hiding those rolls. Man, I miss that place. Obligatory, not a buffet worker, just a witness. We were waiting in line for the soft serve machine at Golden Corral. The woman in front of us gets up to the machine and awkwardly jerks the handle around in an attempt to get at the sweet ice cream within. She's pushing, pulling, twisting, doing literally everything but turning it to the right, which would have dispensed the ice cream. She's really perplexed by this. So she takes the next logical step, of course, which is to wrap her lips around the spout, form a seal on it with her mouth and start trying to suck it right out of the tap. One of the workers sees this and looks on in disgust before he unplugs the machine. On the way out, we see that he put an out of order sign on it, so thankfully they didn't keep serving it after that whole incident. Pickle boy. There was this man who used to come into our restaurant who clearly wasn't all there in the head. He was functional but very weird. As the months progressed, he got way weirder. He started wearing women's underwear over his clothes, even going so far as to stuff his bra. Picture a 6'2" 250 pounds dude with a baby face wearing silky underpants and a lace bra over ratty jeans and a stained Hawaiian shirt. That's our guy. He went from being able to hold a sort of normal conversation to just spouting conspiracy theory word salad. But the weirdest thing was his change of eating habits. He used to eat a variety of our soup/salad/baked potato options from our buffet, but as his mental health deteriorated, so did his desire for variety, I guess. By the time his weirdness devolved to aggression and we had to 86 him, he was coming in for two things, pickles and ranch dressing. He'd pile as many pickle slices as he could onto his plate, then put so much ranch on them the dressing and pickle juice would be running all over the tray. He'd eat it all, and his face would be covered in ranch and pickle bits. Then he'd drink water straight from the pitcher he inevitably stole from the wait station, sliming it with pickle ranch slobber. Never a dull moment with that dude around. Pickle boy, wherever you are today, I really hope you got the help you so desperately needed, but I was not sorry to see you go. EDA, for those who are asking about the term 86, on this case it means we kicked him out permanently. I worked at a pizza buffet for 2 years during college. I have a number of stories, but the one that I will always remember is the guy who got super upset that we wouldn't make more dessert pizza, when we were half an hour past closing time. This guy comes in with his presumed wife and 2 children around 8:30. We close at 9. Nothing out of the ordinary happens until 9 rolls around, where it was still commonplace for people to be finishing up and eating what pizza was still left. I was doing the dishes and taking the empty dishes back from the buffet, and I see this guy, arms crossed and staring at me as I take the empty dessert pizza dish. He says something to the effect of, "When's the next one coming out?" I never got any. I let him know that we close at 9 and we can't really make anything past then because the oven gets shut off. Luckily the manager overheard this and stepped in to back me up, and I quickly scamper off to the back to continue the dishes. He seemed pissed, but it wasn't unheard of, as being a cheap pizza buffet, you don't exactly bring in the most affluent of folks. About 5 minutes later, as I'm finishing up the plates, the same manager comes barreling through the back door, out of breath. He grabs 2 of the long wooden pizza pushers, and says, "Come with me." I have no idea what's going on, but I grab the pusher and follow him out the door. I learned later on, that he started flipping out, throwing the register and a fishbowl. He grabbed a broom and swung that around, hitting the girl behind the counter. This bit we caught on camera. As I exit from the back, this guy is screaming and ranting unintelligibly. He was just asking for a fight. He walked up to the manager, got all up in his face and kinda pushed him back. He came at me next and I was really close to taking a swing at his knees or something, but the other manager had quickly gotten back up and he resumed harassing him. After about 2 minutes of tiptoeing around a brawl, and his wife presumably screaming for him to get back in the car, he eventually gets in and they drive off. I won't forget the glossed over look in his eyes as he came after me. Freaks me out to this day. I was once at an old country buffet, waiting patiently to get some mac and cheese. The kid in front of me plied his plate high, and then started tapping the serving spoon to get all of the chessy goodness free from the confines of the spoon. Once he was satisfied with his handiwork, he licked the spoon clean. I didn't have any mac and cheese, and haven't been back since. Went as a customer to a Golden Corral. I'm walking to the chocolate fountain and 3 little girls step in front of me, and all 3 of them just go hands deep in the fountain. The family was the first table by the fountain and all they did was laugh about how cute it was. Employees turned it off immediately. I managed a buffet in a casino in Reno for a few months. Had this family come in, mom, dad, 2 little kids. I get called over to the table because the mom had thrown up on her plate/table and wanted us to take it away and clean it up. I asked if she was okay, and she said she always throws up when she eats cheese. She had gotten herself an enchilada. It was Mexican theme night. WTF lady, enchiladas pretty much always have cheese. I told her I would have to call janitorial because none of my staff was trained to handle biohazards. She didn't understand why I couldn't just take it. Janitorial came in and couldn't clean up because she refused to move from the table. So janitorial left. She calls me back over and starts yelling at me. Dad starts yelling too. Apparently she wanted to keep eating after throwing up, which I thought was really gross. I had them sit at another table so they could all keep eating. Janitorial came back and cleaned the other table. Finally they go to leave and decide to make a huge scene in front of the whole restaurant and demand their money back. I refuse. Dad gets in my face and starts shouting that I'm just a racist white bitch and his wife makes loads more money than I do. I call security and they storm out, pulling pictures off the wall and shattering them on the floor, and Dad also picked up a vase and broke it. The two kids are running around and banging on the walls. Security finally shows up after they ran off. I have to do a report, and they were put on the 86 list. I fucking hate people. I worked as a server at a Chinese buffet and 4 things came to mind instantly. A middle-aged woman puked on her table and blamed it on giving herself the wrong insulin dose. The 4 mountains of food she destroyed probably contributed too. Profusely apologized and tipped me $1. I tried to pick up a dirty plate off a table that had a big pool of hibachi sauce/grease on it. The customer stopped me and said that's the best part. Then proceeded to drink the sauce like it was the milk after a bowl of cereal. A young mother complained to me because the crab meat and cheese that we serve on the buffet made her child sick and they threw up. Her child was an infant. Not even a year old. I'm no child care expert, but baked artificial crab meat and mozzarella can't be good for a baby. The restaurant was raided by ICE one morning shortly before opening. The entire back of the house and one of our managers were deported. Back of the house was 1/2 Chinese and 1/2 Latin American. Not an employee, but I was standing behind a woman at hometown buffet. She was getting some lasagna or something, basically a really cheesy pasta that when you lift the serving utensil, a lot of cheese hangs on. I witnessed her lift her pasta, twirl all the excess cheese that was connected around her index finger, and there was a lot, clip it off with her thumbnail, and then fling it back into the pasta. I knew I shouldn't have been at hometown buffet in the first place, but this solidified my stance to never go back. Buffet where I live got shut down for serving coyote meat and labeling it as other meats. At one point myself and 2 other family members worked at a Golden Corral, each in different sections, because small towns don't have a lot of job options for high school/college kids. I worked in the bakery, which was surprisingly low in horror stories other than the chaos that remained after a large group of children came through. My brother worked the steak station. He got these regulars that would tip him pretty well if he would prepare blue steaks for them. The very idea of ordering blue steaks from a buffet makes me gag. My cousin worked the salad bar. Management would require her to keep seafood items on the bar for long after the point where they'd be safe to consume. I think the record was chilled shrimp from Mother's Day that stayed for over a week and a half. They finally caved and let her toss them when a customer complained about the smell. My parents owned an all-you-can-eat buffet and I was there every day of my life from 4 to 14. My favorite horror story is when a couple came in to eat, obviously. They loved the crab legs and every time my mom put some out, they took it all. Also, just a reminder, crab legs are expensive. Forget the other customers, they just took it and ate it all. So they're there for maybe 2 hours now and it's getting dark. They've eaten through at least a week's stock of crab legs and my mom finally decides it's enough. She stops putting it out in the buffet and brings individual plates to the customers who wanted it but couldn't get any due to this couple. Understandably, the couple is angry. They literally flipped the chairs at their table, flipped their plates, bowls, cups, etc., and completely trashed their area. Food was all over the floor, table, chairs. Sticky soda was dripping into the carpet. They left in a hurry, but someone caught their license plate. We called the cops and I think they said they charged them with something. I can't remember the aftermath details clearly, because I was probably 8 or 9 years old, 20 now. I just remember looking at the mess and feeling really angry that my sister and I had to clean it up with our mom. It was a family-run business, so we didn't have much help. Anyways, that's my horror story. The end. Edit, typos cause I was on mobile.